Hello and welcome to another Rush Generations Health Education lecture. Our Rush Generation staff is delighted to be your source of information, resources, and health promotion programs that help maximize your well-being and good health as you age. Today is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and I'm Grisel Rodriguez Morales, Rush Generations Program Director. I'll be your moderator for today's lecture about falls prevention awareness. This is Falls Prevention Awareness Week, which is a nationwide observance to raise awareness on preventing falls, reducing the risk of falls, and helping older adults live without fear of falling. So we are delighted to have two of our colleagues join us and speak about this important topic. But before I introduce our colleagues, I'd like to first thank Hannah Weisman, as always, for helping with the production of this lecture. As Hannah normally does, she will be helping us manage this chat and other key aspects so that we all can have a great discussion this afternoon. As you know, we are live streaming this lecture via our YouTube channel, where we have dozens of other health education lectures that you can always refer back to or send to family, friends, and colleagues that could also benefit from the valuable information that our speakers offer every other week. We use the video platform Zoom, which allow us to host a good numbers of people that join us via phone. For those of you on YouTube, we ask that you please use the chat function and in there. And you can ask questions or add to the discussion throughout the lecture. We will make sure that your comments and questions make it to our presenters today. And for those of you listening to the discussion via phone, as always, you will have an opportunity at the end to unmute your audio so that you can ask questions. So thank you so much for joining us. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce, first of all, we're gonna have two speakers. And first of all, we're gonna have Janine Quinn, who is a licensed social worker with our Rush Generations team. She provides social work services at Rush and out in the community at 3 senior centers through a contract that we have with the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services Senior Services Division. Janine also co-facilitates the monthly caregiver support group that we offer in collaboration with the Alzheimer's Association. She's dedicated to fostering awareness, advocacy, and education about fall prevention, especially through some of the evidence-based programs that we offer, like A Matter of Balance and Tai Chi for Arthritis and Fall Prevention Program, which actually in January of next year, she'll start offering the Advanced Tai Chi for Arthritis and Fall Prevention workshop. Then we are going to hear from Andrew DeMott. He's a research specialist at the University of Illinois, Chicago. So just across the street from us, he coordinates the Center for Research on Health and Aging, which is housed with the center within the Institute for Health Research and Policy. Andrew is also the manager for the evidence-based program called Fit and Strong, which we are going to start to offer very soon, thanks to a grant that we have received from the Administration of Community Living. So thank you so much, both of you, for having us today, for being with us today, and for the audience to join us. I'll hand it to Janine first. Let's see, Janine.
I'm here. Hopefully it's
great. We just need to see your video. Perfect. Your beautiful face. Excellent.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for those of you that have dialed in or Zoomed in or however you got here on YouTube. It's really a pleasure to be here. I believe that my whole team, and especially Grisel, knows that of all the work that I do at Rush, I am most passionate about fall prevention tools, strategies. And so I hope that in today's presentation, you'll be able to take away some tools and tips that you can actually put into action in your daily life. So it's a lot of information, but just know you may find one or two tips, recommendations that resonate with you. And it's always a good place to start with those. So today I'll be talking on strategies to stay mindful, active, safe, and enjoying life. Most of all, how important is that? Next. So I'm going to start with some statistics on falls. And I think that's a way to ground how we start to think about how important it is that we consider some of the strategies and solutions that I'll be presenting throughout today's talk. And also the sense that we can take control of our fear of falling. And Griselle mentioned I work in community. I was just out in the community this morning leading this talk, and it was really resonating and very interactive. So I'll look forward at the end if you all have any questions or comments that I can help answer. Thank you. Next. So we can look at falls through a number of different metrics, number of falls and costs. And what we'll learn is that they're quite staggering, really. When we think that more than 1 out of 4 Americans ages 65 and over fall each year, I think we would all agree that's one too many person that's having a fall and experiencing some of the consequences, physical, emotional, otherwise, from that incident. Falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among older adults. So for those that are within that age group, this is not to send a warning, blinking signs, but just to remember that falls can happen really to anyone. And I'm the first to admit that I fell during the pandemic, walking too fast on a slippery sidewalk. And at that time, fortunately, I did not, break anything, but I used it as an opportunity to really dive deeper into understanding what causes falls and really promoting a lot that we can do ourselves to keep ourselves upright, safe, but most of all, going about our daily activities and enjoying life. About 36 million falls are reported among older adults each year. That's also a significant number. But approximately of those, 32,000 individuals die annually from fall-related injuries. And again, just one too many. And I'm glad you all are here to hopefully gain some wisdom from and suggestions from information I'll be providing. Next slide. So continuing with a few more statistics. So 1 out of every fall, as we know, four older adults will fall each year in the United States, making falls a public health concern, particularly among the aging population. So when we look at falls, we understand that an individual may fall, but also when we think about it in a greater view, when we think of public health overall, we really want to get as much information out to individuals about ways they can help prevent those falls from happening and feel empowered in doing so. So we also know that falls result in more than 3 million injuries treated in emergency departments annually. And that includes 800,000 of those that will be hospitalized. So they have more complex care that's needed regarding resolving health issues related to the fall. Additionally, each year, about $754 million is spent on medical costs related to falls. And the cost of treating injuries caused by falls is projected to increase to $101 billion by 2030. So when we think of the cost and the strain on the health system, just to help manage falls, it's really imperative that we have education. Our department offers 3 different programs that I'll be talking about that can really give us tools and empower us to learn new ways to support fall prevention in our own life, our daily life, and also those for those that you wish to join as well to help learn these strategies. Next slide. So one of the adverse effects of having a fear of falling is that it can lead to social isolation, physical decline, depression, and feelings of helplessness. I think the greatest that when we consider that individuals may not wish to go outside because it's slippery or it's rainy, we can understand that concern. But we do know that we want to be engaged in life, engaging with others to mitigate some, how we might feel being socially isolated. And also we know that we want to keep moving because it's so good for our health. Next slide. So this is my last statistic, but it was interesting for me to discover that it's predicted that there will be 7 deadly falls every hour by 2030. I'm not aware of what kind of increase that is, but that's a significant number. So bearing in mind, as we look at what's coming in terms of information, just consider what might be a topic or a statistic or a suggestion from our evidence-based programs that will resonate with you. Next. So the goal today is really to help you feel more confident in your daily tasks of everyday living. So we offer workshops, which I will go into more detail about, and think of these as a course, as information that's been studied that will help ground you to feel more confident. I like to think that we learn tools to view falls as controllable rather than something just happens to us. So in that incident where I was walking down the street, if I were viewing my falls as controllable, I may have taken my daughter's arm, who was with me at the time, because I was in heels and it was icy and it was on an incline. So I could have controlled the situation more than I did. So you can engage in workshops which help you learn about fall prevention tools through different lenses. So there's not a one size fits all when we talk about fall prevention tools and tips. And each of our programs takes a different way of helping us think about these different tools that we can use for fall prevention. And all of our evidence-based workshops are offered, it's missing here, at no cost, and include all materials as well. Next. So as you're going about your daily life, and I try to think about this myself, which has been very helpful for me learning from that one fall, about balance and awareness in space and time. So I like that image of the rocks, that we can keep ourselves balanced, but also aware that we are focusing on our balance. And it can take just seconds in that moment to do. Next. So when we think about the here and now, this I wanted to bring up because it is fall, but winter will soon be upon us. So think about how it might feel that maybe a snowstorm's going to come in October and you don't know where your snow boots are. You realize there's no salt, that maybe your landlord hasn't put salt out. You can't find your scarves and gloves and mittens. So the reason I'm mentioning winter, and this can also apply to rainy days, slippery days, to think about being prepared in advance. So what I'm going through here is talking about this might be a good time for you to get those winter boots out of the closet and look at the condition of the soles. You can imagine that if your shoes are in need of repair and you're recognizing that on the day that it's snowing, there's going to be a line of people out at shoe repair waiting to get their soles redone so that they can stay safe. So now would be a good time when it's not like, oh, the snow's come, to think about what can I do so I'm ready. So there's an idea of actually creating a space at your front door where you house all the items that you'll need to go out on a slippery day, a rainy day, a cold day. Those could include the snow boots. Maybe you've had those recently repaired, any walking assist items, whether it's canes, what have you, your coats, scarves, your phone, keeping them all in one place. And then recommending that you have a chair or a bench near your front door so that you can sit down, put your shoes, take your shoes off that you're wearing in the home, to put on your boots. And then upon your return, you reverse that. You're able to sit down, take your coat off. So we're not rushing, everything's in its place. So I'd like to think of setting up a snow/winter inclement weather station that can help you feel prepared and moving about with confidence. And the other reason that I'm suggesting that is often when we realize, oh, it's snowing and I need to get out and I have an engagement, we can become very flustered in our home and we're looking for items, and that if we're stressed, we're not really thinking about maybe how we're moving in space. We want to avoid falls in our home, which can happen because we're not prepared to just find things easily and readily and feel that calmness about us and feeling like we are ready and we're able to go outside. So doing some of these steps, if that resonates with you, can really help build confidence that you're taking control of preventing falls rather than just sort of rolling along your day and trying to find these items. Next. So the other part of the other part that I want to bring up about being in the home is the recommendation to begin your day when you get out of bed, putting on non-slip soles. It doesn't have to be sneakers, but a supportive shoe that you could either tie or slip on. And it's the first item you put on when you wake up, and then the last item you take off when you go to bed. It can be a non-slip sole, so it helps you move about the daily tasks of living in your home with confidence. Imagine if you have like a soft-soled, like you've put on slippers. I know I've heard of people slipping because they're not really gripping the floor. This tip came from a writer in the New York Times who really talked about how important it was for her to start and end her day that way because she had fallen, and this was a way she could feel more empowered about moving about her daily tasks of living. Another area to focus on is keeping hallways and well-trafficked areas of your home free from clutter so we can avoid any fall hazards that could get in the way. Next. So we do run a suite of fall prevention programs which help our patients and community members learn new tools to avoid falls. And that's both on the inside and outside the home. And our programs are very, they're grounded in evidence, and they really provide different lenses through which to think about how I can take this class and learn more tools that'll help me feel in control of not falling. Next. So our goal with these programs is to think and learn new ways to think about preventing falls. Again, helping you feel more empowered with your daily tasks of living. And equally, if not more important, allowing you to remain engaged and active with friends, colleagues, family members, could also be your healthcare providers. And also being able to problem solve solutions to avoid falls at home and outdoors. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Next. So these programs offer strategies to help keep our patients and community members enjoying life. I particularly like this slide because I do like to bowl myself. And I just like the idea here that hopefully this image resonates with you because they're up moving, and I'm sure they've got good shoes on, even though they're bowling shoes, and they're enjoying their time together. Next. So again, I will repeat this because this is really central to the work of our fall prevention programs. Our goal is for you to view falls as controllable rather than an event which just happens to you. And I will say it again because maybe some of you are taking notes. Our goal is for you to view falls as controllable rather than an event which just happens to you. Next. So the Fit and Strong, Drew will talk about after I conclude my presentation, but I did want to bring to your attention and for consideration our evidence-based programs, which Griselle mentioned. We are very fortunate to receive grant funding for, because fall prevention is so important on an individual level, on a global scale. And so what's wonderful about this is that you could take each of these classes, and each class is going to address fall strategies, fall prevention tips from a different point of view. So I became interested in Tai Chi. I'd been reading quite a bit about Tai Chi and the benefits of Tai Chi for fall prevention, mindfulness, and I thought, I think I want to bring a Tai Chi class to Rush. And as Griselle mentioned, I teach Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention, the beginner workshop, and then I will be teaching in the new year an advanced class for those who've already completed the class previously, the beginner or the entry class. The matter of balance class I'll talk about as well, and bingo size. Next slide. So the Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention has had really hundreds of studies. Dr. Paul Lamb is the developer of the Tai Chi programs. One can find some of his clips online. He also sells educational videos, and they're all designed to help with the issue at hand that needs to be addressed. In this case, the one that I bought to Rush is for fall prevention and also arthritis. So through our program, we learn ways to think of self-awareness in space and time. The class promotes mindfulness. It also focuses on the breath and breathing. And through our class, and I teach it on Zoom, we've actually managed to create quite a bit of community building. I've had a number of participants come back again, and it's very meaningful to feel part of a Tai Chi community within the safety of your own home. Also noting that the class can be taken seated or standing, and benefits are equal to both methods. And the goal is to keep, for arthritis, the arthritis part is the softness. We focus on keeping our wrists, knees, and joints really soft. So avoiding hyperextension of those joints to help mitigate any arthritis symptoms. So this has also been studied as well as being helpful to those that do have arthritis. Next. The other reason I was drawn to Tai Chi, and I think our class members are too, and hopefully some of you in the audience, is that why practice Tai Chi? So Tai Chi blends mental focus and physical effort to build strength, flexibility, and mindfulness. It's also been studied to prevent falls in older adults. It's been studied to reduce strain on joints by strengthening the surrounding muscles and fostering awareness during everyday tasks of living. And in the course, I spend quite a bit on mindfulness because we move through life oftentimes with automatic actions. You may be in your living room and all of a sudden you're in your kitchen and you don't know how you got there. That's an automatic action. And it's in that automatic action span of time that we might not notice that there was a tripping hazard on the floor. So not only are we building, helping our fall prevention, building those muscles that support our legs, we're also bringing the mindfulness component, which is really, really powerful. Next. I was surprised. I found this statistic recently in the New York Times that there are 250 million Tai Chi practitioners all around the world. Practitioner meanings I'm practicing, somebody else maybe here is practicing. So it is truly one of the world's most popular physical activities. And sometimes in our class, we do a mantra where we send out health and wellness to someone around the world who's practicing Tai Chi in some other country. So unlike karate or taekwondo, Tai Chi focuses on quiet strength rather than combat, which makes it more accessible to older adults or for those who are getting over injuries. That's just one of its many benefits. Next. So when we talk about the softness of the joints and the mental quietness, there are two beautiful words I wanted to share with you from Tai Chi. One is song, and song refers to the softness of our joints. So when we're practicing, we're reminding ourselves, keep the knees, keep the ankles, keep our wrists soft. And we can think about that kindness and self-care to ourselves in those moments of grace that we're softening our joints. And then Jing is the mental quietness. So Jing is where we are focused on where we are in space and time. And honestly, because I've been teaching this class I've had a number of sessions, it has really enhanced my ability to be much more focused in the moment. And so to encourage that presence in the moment, I created this mantra I'm sharing with you now. Where am I now and how am I now? And I think that can be helpful in fall prevention. It can be, all right, I've been rushing around. Let me pause. Let me take a couple breaths. I am in my dining room. That's where I am right now. Why don't you pause for a moment and think, where am I now? And how am I now? How are you feeling? And that can be helpful because we may recognize we might be stressed over something and we're not really aware of us. And that may remind us to pause, relax, sit down, get a glass of water. How am I now? I'm very excited to be sharing this information with you. So that makes me very happy. Next. So just some basics about Tai Chi. It is a commitment. It is 16 classes. And those that participate would set a goal to attend at least 11 of the classes that we offer. I offer the class twice a week, 1 hour each in each class for 8 weeks. But what we've learned through the evidence studies is that we need to get to a certain number of classes to get the most out of the program. Like I said, it can be done seated or standing. And then we learn warm-up exercises. We practice each class. We then move on to basic Tai Chi movements and then on to advanced ones. I have a class that'll be starting next week, so you can see here. Next. So matter of balance. This is another in our suite of fall prevention programs. The goal of that program, another evidence-based workshop, and we will have one starting again in October in person at Rush, is to learn strategies to overcome your fear of falling, to return to higher social and physical activity levels. I just wanted to add here that contrary to beliefs, inactivity does actually increase chances of falling. So Matter of Balance has a number of components on education. And also we teach exercises in that class that we all practice together. Next. So I like to call this a gold standard of a program. This program is so comprehensive. I don't want to take too much more time, but for this class, we meet twice a week for 2 hours for 4 weeks. You will have so many tools that you will learn, like how to get up from a fall. We have exercises specifically that we do starting in class 3 of the 8 classes, where we're practicing exercises that are specifically designed to help build muscles to support the fall prevention. And then we take a deep dive into understanding a number of ways that we can live in a healthy and safe way in our home, including, for example, a very comprehensive checklist that you take room by room and you check off to make sure that all the fall hazards are addressed in this list, that There aren't any loose towels on the floor in the bathroom, that, bars are safely mounted on the walls. So it's practical. It also helps us learn tools to feel empowered in how we feel confident going out into the outdoors, such as I talked about setting up your safety place and your organized place at the front door. Helps us to navigate tasks of daily living, and best of all, being our own best self advocate. So if we are in a situation where we feel we could use some help and we want to get to, someone's event and we're not able to get there because we're worried about going up the stairs, there are ways that we problem solve those as a group so people can feel empowered again to enjoy what's most important to them in life, such as events as maybe it's a granddaughter's birthday party. Next. So briefly, this class will help us, and for those who take it, to view falls as controllable. We keep going back to that as a mantra almost. Set goals for increasing activity because we know we want to stay active, and that activity is going to help with fall prevention. We talk about home modification tools to reduce fall risks at home. I talked about the exercises that we'll start doing in classes 3 through 8. That safety checklist is also just an exceptionally helpful tool to help you really take one room at a time, maybe over a week or two, to really look and see where might there be a hazard for me. So for instance, is the pasta that I bought, the box of pasta placed up so high I can't reach it, and my step stool is not really steady. So you get to really take a deep dive into each space in your home to see how you continue to fortify it to help prevent falls. And most importantly, but everything is important, reframing the way we think about falls. Again, an action we can control rather than an event that just happens to us. Next. Bingo Size is one of our newer programs, and it is a joy. It is a program that meets twice a week for several weeks. So it is a commitment, but people love it. They hate to miss their Bingo Size class. My distinguished colleague, LaShawn Brown, some of you know, teaches that class. And Bingo Size is really focused on the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's incredibly fun, which helps keep people engaged that you don't even realize you're learning some fall prevention strategies. There's upbeat and fun music played during the exercise portion. And while there are classes of while the bingo is played in between, there's also education. LaShawn is pointing out and highlighting tools, proven tools that can help with using in your everyday life to help prevent falls. And we couldn't have bingo without prizes, right? So there are lots of prizes. People really enjoy winning. It seems like almost everybody will win. But the best part too is doing those exercises with LaShawn and learning those in really helpful fall prevention tips. Next. So some benefits from Bingo Size are improved upper and lower body strength, gait, balance, range of motion, improved cognitive function. That's wonderful. Social engagement. Honestly, everyone shows up. It's in person at different sites that it's offered. Really excited to see everyone. And I know people can get competitive, but it's a friendly competition about winning the bingo and the prizes. And then improved knowledge. Education is power, and I always say we're never too old to learn new things. And for those older adults in the audience, I take such inspiration that, individuals will drive to those senior center where that class is open, where that class is offered, that there's still, people are getting to those classes because it is so important to keep moving and take different classes. And also that improved knowledge of fall risk prevention and other important health topics. That's all woven into the program. Next. So just a moment for reflection before I hand the presentation next to Drew. So perhaps consider, what is one fall prevention tip you might try at home? And I might add, when heading outside. What's something you might have learned today? And is there a fall prevention class you might want to try? Did one resonate with you? Some people just like one, some people want to try all of them. But when we think about the value they bring to education and helping view falls as controllable, they're really exciting and energized and engaged classes. And lastly, what is one thing you learned today that might help you feel more empowered about going outside in the snow, or that help you think about fall prevention in a different way? So you can think about that now or later after we conclude the program. It's nice to think back. And I think there might be one last slide. Yes, please contact me. This is my information. I am a Pied Piper for fall prevention. And honestly, I feel honored to be able to teach, educate. Griselle and I just taught 12 individuals how to teach a matter of balance as master trainers. So I always like to think my mantra at the end of my name is not here, but we are definitely all stronger together. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And thank you all for the opportunity to talk about fall prevention today.
Thank you so much, Janine. Yes, we recently trained a new group of people that will be then coaching or offering these programs out in the community. But thank you so much for starting the conversation about the issue of falls, about the different programs that can help us avoid or reduce those falls as well, and even how to remain active after having experienced a fall. The YouTube live chat is quite active.
Oh, good.
And people very grateful for the information. But let's welcome our colleague Andrew DeMott now for the second portion of this lecture, and then we'll get to questions. And Andrew, am I saying your last name correctly?
That's right, Andrew DeMott. Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. The lecture I'm going to give today is Fit and Strong and Falls Prevention. So broadly, we're going to talk about the Fit and Strong program, which Janine mentioned in her previous presentation. Fit and Strong is a fall prevention program. It's an evidence-based exercise program designed for older adults with arthritis. I just want to thank Rush Generations for putting on these important webinars. And thank you, Griselle, Hannah, and Pedrick for connecting me with this and inviting me to participate. So already introduced, I'm Drew. I manage a Fit and Strong program, and I just want to acknowledge Dr. Susan Hughes. She's Professor Emerita in the School of Public Health at UIC, and she's the founding director of the Center for Research on Health and Aging, and the founder and director of the Fit and Strong program. So more specifically, I'm going to talk about today the development of the Fit and Strong program, the evidence base for the program, its impact on fall risk, the reach and recognition of Fit and Strong, and some new updates with the program. So Fit and Strong first started as a result of research findings from Dr. Hughes's research into long-term care outcomes. This is way back in the 1990s, and she conducted a study called the GERRIMAC, which was a prospective longitudinal study of 600 older adults in Chicago. And what the study did was it measured impairment in all joints at baseline, and then measured disability at baseline and at 4 years. And all participants were unselected for the presence of arthritis at the start of the study. And what it found was that people who had arthritis at baseline were far more likely to be disabled at the 4-year follow-up time point. And in particular, impairment in the lower extremity joints, so the hips and the knees, was a risk factor for future disability. So the literature around this told a pretty sad story, and that these people are on a fairly negative trajectory. What's happening is that people are developing pain in their joints, and due to this pain, they're moving less, which makes them sedentary. And the sedentary behavior leads to total body deconditioning and it's putting them at increased risk for falls and other chronic conditions. And we also know that lower extremity arthritis, people with lower extremity arthritis have decreased muscle strength and aerobic functioning compared to age-matched controls. So it's not good news, but how can the cycle be broken? So looking more at the literature, it showed that physical activity could play a major role in intervening here. So some important studies at the time, that's why they're from the 90s and not very recent. We know that increasing lower extremity strength results in decreased pain and stiffness, and it leads to improvements in activities of daily living functioning and reduces the risk of future disability. So kind of taking this all together, it points to an effective intervention for this population needing to include strength training to decrease the pain and stiffness and restore function in the affected joints. It would need to include aerobic exercise to reverse the deconditioning due to sedentary behavior. And it would need to include flexibility to further improve stiffness and improve joint motion. And then we also want to think about adherence, because you can teach people to exercise, you can have people take an exercise class, but how do you get them to make a habit of it and incorporate it in their life and make it something that's part of their daily routine? So the literature suggests that including education can increase self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a concept created by Dr. Albert Bandura, a psychologist. And what it is it's essentially the confidence that you can perform a task and the belief that if you perform it, you will achieve a personally meaningful outcome. The literature also suggests other ways to increase exercise adherence is to make the exercise as easy to do as possible, help participants develop individualized routines, so something that works for them personally, provide structured reinforcement, facilitate social support through group-based programming, to reinforce the behavior through peer support, and of course, to make it fun and enjoyable. So using all this information, this is what's gone into creating the Fit and Strong program as it is. And we say Fit and Strong is different because it uses a combination of multi-component physical activity and education for behavior change. There's a lot of programs that use one or the other, but there aren't many that combine both of them. So some of the components of Fit and Strong are flexibility exercises, low impact aerobics, strength training using ankle weights that focuses on the lower extremities, and balance exercises. And the level of resistance or the weight in the ankle weights is tailored to each individual participant at the start of the class. So everybody kind of finds their own starting point and they all progress from there. The Fit and Strong classes are delivered as 24 sessions. Each one's 90 minutes. It's a little bit longer than a lot of other programs, but there's a little bit more content, having both physical activity and health education incorporated throughout. And it's delivered 2 or 3 times per week. Each individual class session is made up of 60 minutes of physical activity and 30 minutes of health education. And just want to point out the health education, we make an emphasis to point out that it's not a lecture. It is manualized. There's a different health topic that the instructor takes the class through in each session. But it's really an opportunity for the participants to talk, ask questions, discuss, share progress, and learn from each other. And all of this kind of culminates with the participants completing what we call an adherence contract. And this is a specific, detailed, individualized plan for how the participants are going to stay active after the class is over. And now we're going to go into some of the evidence for the Fit and Strong program. So I'm going to talk about 2 early studies. There's been several other studies since then, and there's quite a robust body of literature, but we'll just focus on some of the 2 initial studies. Fit and Strong was first tested in what's called an efficacy study. This is a randomized controlled trial, and it assessed the impact on several outcomes at 2, 6, and 12 months after the intervention had ended. So the study looked at exercise engagement, self-efficacy for exercise adherence and arthritis management, and it looked at self-reported lower extremity function, pain, and stiffness through a survey called the WOMAC, which is kind of a gold standard for assessing these outcomes. And it also used another pain measure from a measure called Jerry Ames. So these are some of the significant outcomes that favored the treatment group. Probably most important, you can see at all 3 time points, 2, 6, and 12 months, exercise engagement significantly increased. Self-efficacy for exercise also significantly increased. So meaning people were exercising more and they felt more confident exercising. Some of the other items like self-efficacy for adherence, WOMAC stiffness, WOMAC pain, also had some significant improvements at certain time points. But maybe the most telling thing is the strength of these effects. So the treatment group not only had significant improvements, but they were very strong improvements. So these are effect sizes. And generally, anything above a 0.8 is considered very strong. Around a 0.4 or 0.5 is considered moderate, which is also, clinically generally a very good outcome. So we can see the exercise engagement is quite high, going from 0.86 out to 0.67 at 12 months. And self-efficacy for exercise is also very high. So briefly to conclude from this efficacy study, we saw benefits at 2, 6, and 12 months. The effect sizes were very substantial, considering this is a non-pharmacological intervention. It's a relatively low cost, easy to deliver intervention over a short period of time. And also very important, there were no untoward outcomes, injuries, or effects. You have to think, even now, and especially then, a lot of people were wary of putting weights on frail older adults that had arthritis in their joints. A lot of people worried that that would further worsen their symptoms or exacerbate their symptoms. But that's not what we saw. We saw that people were able to do it, and they saw improvements by doing it. And the findings from the study are published in 2 different manuscripts, both published in the Gerontologist in 2004 and 2006. After the efficacy study, next was an effectiveness study was performed. So an efficacy study, just briefly, is generally a study that's done in a tightly controlled environment, like within a university or a clinic, and it's usually done to establish the initial safety of an intervention. And an effectiveness study is generally done in more real-world conditions. So for this effectiveness study, different ways of reinforcing the physical activity maintenance were tested across Chicago in its senior centers. So the study was replicated in 7 different senior centers. And it's worth noting that the sample for the study was much more diverse than the previous one in terms of the participants, but also in terms of the instructors. So different types of instructors leading the classes as well. The outcomes were assessed at baseline and then 2, 6, 12, and now out to 18 months. So 6 months further than the previous study. And the primary outcome was physical activity maintenance. It's measured through something called the CHAMPS. Again, like the previous study, we looked at lower extremity function, pain, and stiffness as measured through the WOMAC. We looked at mobility as measured through something called the 6-minute distance walk, and lower extremity strength measured through something called the 30-second chair stand test. And depression and anxiety symptoms were assessed with a measure called the Jerry Ames. So we saw a lot of significant effects in this. The primary outcome, the frequency and maintenance of physical activity, was significant at all time points, 2, 6, 12, and 18. And not only was it all types of exercise, but also moderate level physical activity increased at all time points. We saw a lot of improvements in the WOMAC measures, the self-report measures of stiffness, pain, and physical function in the joints. And maybe most importantly, we saw improvements in lower extremity strength and mobility at all time points. And I point these out because these are timed performance measures. So the previous one, the WOMAC, is a self-report measure. That's important information that gives very valuable, feedback to researchers and clinicians. But these are physical performance measures. So when we're assessing someone's strength, it's a physical activity that they're doing. And same with mobility. We're having somebody walk for 6 minutes and measuring the distance that they walk during that time. And we're seeing real improvements from the start all the way out to 18 months. So it's really saying that, there's real changes happening in the bodies of these participants. And we also saw improvements in depression and anxiety symptoms at all time points. So the conclusions from this is that, Fit and Strong, it's a low-cost program. It's easily replicable, and it improves exercise maintenance, lower extremity stiffness, pain, and function, lower extremity strength, mobility, anxiety, and depression. And these benefits are achieved after a relatively short period, 2 months when the program ends, and then many of them are maintained out to 18 months, so a full year and a half later. So it's a lot of bang for the buck. It's a relatively short, easy to deliver intervention, and we're seeing long-term benefits from it. And these benefits are achieved over a diverse sample of instructors and participants, and it's happening in different geographic areas and different settings as well. And these findings were published in the American Journal of Health Behavior in 2010. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the findings as they relate to falls risk. So we know, Janine pointed out a lot of great statistics. I just have a couple here, so I won't spend too much time on this. But recent studies show that 1 in 4 adults over 65 report falling within the year. Annually, falls are very, very expensive. Non-fatal falls are responsible for about $29 billion in medical spending every year, $12 billion in private medical spending, and $9 billion in Medicaid spending. So it's around $50 billion per year. And nearly 39,000 older adults die due to falls in the year 2021. And the trend seems to be that more people are falling. So the risk and the problem of falls seems to be increasing over time. Maybe COVID played a role in this. A lot of older adults lost the ability to kind of get out in the community and attend programs. So we might be seeing setback due to COVID. There's a lot of risk factors that contribute to falls. Some of the big ones are lower body weakness, decreased mobility, inactivity, and age. And looking at these risks in the context of Fit and Strong, we know Fit and Strong increases lower body strength, so it counteracts lower body weakness. This is measured through time performance measures, the 30-second sit-stand test, and the improvements are significant out to 18 months. Fit and Strong also increases mobility, also measured through a time performance measure, the 6-minute walk test, and that improvement is significant out to 18 months as well. Fit and Strong increases activity, increases engagement in physical activity, including moderate level physical activity out to 18 months. Unfortunately, Fit and Strong can't reverse aging, at least not yet. But these benefits were seen in samples of older adults. So the first study, the average age of the participants was 73. The second study, the average age of the participants was 71. So older adults are seeing the benefits, they're able to do the program, and they're also reporting that they like the program and they enjoy taking it. So I'm going to touch briefly on just the reach and the recognition of Fit and Strong. Fit and Strong has been vetted, approved, and recommended by the following organizations. The National Council on Aging. So they recognize Fit and Strong as an approved falls prevention evidence-based program and also a chronic disease self-management support program. The Administration for Community Living recognizes Fit and Strong as an evidence-based program. This means that organizations are eligible for funding to deliver Fit and Strong and other evidence-based programs, like what Janine mentioned. This happens through a mechanism. There's federal funding through something called the Older Americans Act, and that has a line item called Title III-D funding. And that's dispersed at the state level. So in Illinois, it would go to the Illinois Department on Aging. And then from there, it goes to what are called AAAs, Area Agencies on Aging. And states are divided up into different geographic areas that have a AAA that manages that area. So there's, I believe, 13 in Illinois, and they all have a portion of their budget explicitly to support the delivery of these programs. Also want to point out that the Administration for Community Living releases grants every year. They release grants to support fall prevention programs and chronic disease self-management programs. So I always encourage organizations, if they're in the position, to research these grants, apply for them. They provide a great amount of support for an organization to take on and deliver these programs to the older adults that they work with. Rush University is a superstar at getting these ACL grants. They've had several. It's going to chronic disease the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. They recognize Fit and Strong as what is called an arthritis-appropriate evidence-based intervention. So they look at programs through the guise of arthritis effectiveness. So we're one of their approved arthritis programs. We're also what is called an RTIP, a research tested intervention program. This is something the National Cancer Institute does. They look at research findings and recommend programs from research based on the findings. And then we're also recommended by the American Physical Therapy Association. So we'll talk about some updates and where we are right now with the program. So during COVID, obviously that changed everything very quickly. During that time, we pivoted from some other projects to focusing almost exclusively on developing an online version of Fit and Strong, which we call Fit and Strong at Home. Fit and Strong at Home retains all the same components of the traditional Fit and Strong program, but it's delivered live via Zoom or another teleconferencing software. And we want to emphasize that classes are always delivered live, where the participants and the instructors see and hear each other. It's not like a pre-recorded type class. So we want to make sure we retain not only the safety aspect of the live class, but the social aspect of it as well. And we did some pilot analyses of sites that delivered it during COVID. And it showed that the attendance rates were comparable to in-person classes. The participants enjoyed the online format. They felt safe exercising from home, whether they lived alone or not. And a lot of people reported that they just really liked online classes and that they would continue to take them even after COVID and things opened up again. And this is just a graphic from, we had some news coverage of the program in North and South Dakota. We're partnered with SDSU and NDSU, and they did a lot of pilot delivery of the online classes during COVID. And so the local news picked up some stories on that. Also just want to briefly mention, as I said before, Rush has been a superstar at getting these ACL grants. They were just recently awarded an ACL falls prevention grant for 2023. And as part of that, they will be disseminating Fit and Strong to underserved areas of West Chicagoland. So we're very, very happy and appreciative of this partnership. And then lastly, I want to mention we currently have a major award from the Illinois Department of Public Health. We received ARPA funding, which is American Recovery Plan Act funding from COVID. So IDPH gave us this award to help kind of re-bolster and kind of rebuild, I think, some of the in-person programming that was lost during COVID. So this award is helping us disseminate the program throughout all of Illinois, focusing on underserved areas. And we are looking to enroll new sites through June 2024. So this might be an opportunity for you if you're an organization within Illinois that would like to offer Fit and Strong or work with older adults. The funding from this award essentially covers all of the startup costs for new providers. So if this is something you're interested in or want to learn more about, please reach out to us. And I just want to end with thank you. Just want to acknowledge our other Fit and Strong team members, Jerry Stapleton, Tanner Wilson, and Gail Huber. And we have our email addresses here. We have a general Fit and Strong contact, and then also my contact, and the director, Susan Hughes's contact here as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. What a blessing to be working with Dr. Hughes. I remember when I started my internship here at Rush over 16 years ago, and her impactful research. We've been quite aware of it. So thank you so much to you, Andrew, and Janine for joining us. I wanted to start with one of the questions. I'm delighted to hear also that the Fit and Strong is being offered now virtually as well. So one of the questions that I see in the chat is about where these classes are offered. And it seems that there's great opportunities to, if you're not in the area, then to join virtual classes as well. So if you both can speak about that, where are those available?
Yeah, it varies a little bit by the sites that are offering it. So some sites are offering, we still have a lot of in-person classes happening, especially now with this IDPH award. Where in parts of the state we haven't been before. Yeah, like we've always had a pretty good presence in the Chicagoland area, like Chicago itself and the Collier County suburbs. But now we're out near Rockford. We're down near like Moline on the border of Iowa. We're downstate near Champaign, and some other kind of more rural health departments throughout the state. So if people are interested, they can always reach out. We can tell you where active classes are, and if they're offering those classes in person or virtual at the time.
Thanks.
I could add that, so for instance, our next bingo size class will be at one of the area Department on Aging senior centers at Central West, at Central West. So that'll be an in-person class. And we also go back and forth between being able to offer in person, but also on Zoom, because we know it can be a distance for people to travel. So we tend to run them in rotation so that we can reduce any barriers to participation. I know our next Matter of Balance class will also take place at Rush, and my Tai Chi class will be on Zoom, but we do tend to offer some of the programs during the course of a calendar year, depending, pandemics notwithstanding, what we determine would be the best time of year. We may have more on Zoom in the winter because it's hard for people to travel. So we try to be sensitive to different elements and considerations when we schedule those classes.
Thank you. And Andrew, I'm glad you mentioned the organizations at the federal level, like the Administration of Community Living, the National Council on Aging. I know that they also have information about falls prevention or evidence-based programs. And if you happen to receive this and you're nowhere near Illinois, you can always go, I imagine, to the NCOA, the National Council on Aging, is ncoa.org. And you may be able to connect with the Area Agency on Aging, and you give them a call and they can give you where these evidence-based programs are offered.
Yep. And yeah, Fit and Strong has partners outside of Illinois. I know a lot of the programs Janine mentioned as well are outside of Illinois as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Falls Prevention Week. So NCOA is doing a lot, to raise awareness. There's a lot of other webinars and resources that they're pushing on their website right now.
Yes. And always feel free to give us a call at our helpline, 1-800-757-0202. If we don't have it near you or it's not possible to do the virtual class, we can always connect you with some of the other organizations that might be offering that. So you also mentioned, Andrew, the ARPA funding and for new partnerships. That's fantastic. And one of the things that we at Rush Generations have also, well, you did as well as you were doing this research in the community. Sometimes you find pockets of older adults meeting not necessarily at a senior building or senior center, or they are mostly, they could be part of a senior group in their churches. Well, will that be a possibility as well? It doesn't have to be like a senior center or a community-based organization. Will it be a faith-based organization as well?
Yeah, it definitely can. What we find is often a limiting factor is just who can deliver the program. Because we use generally a train-the-trainer model, but we're not restricted to being, like a AAA or a senior center. We've worked with park districts, we've worked with churches and faith-based organizations, YMCAs, any type of facility that has older adults and can work with them.
Excellent. Hannah, just let me know in the chat. Thank you, because there's so many great comments in the live chat. But one question is if any of the programs are going to be offered at Rush Oak Park Hospital. And actually, I'm glad that somebody asked about that. Rush Oak Park Hospital is part of the Rush University Systems for Health. So we are offering more programs in the community, not only Rush Oak Park Hospital, but also we are in conversations with Rush at Copley in Aurora. And there's some opportunities for us to, if not virtually, in person. So we'll look into that and we'll let them know, you see, there's people asking for it. So that's always good to know. Janine, there was also a question for you. What is the name of the evidence-based Tai Chi researcher? You mentioned Dr. Lan.
Oh, yes. So anyone can go onto the internet and look up Dr. Paul Lam. And the class that I teach, which is Tai Chi, it is a mouthful, Tai Chi for Arthritis and Fall Prevention, he actually has some of the lessons on there. So I think it's a way for people who are interested in the program or maybe finding an instructor to actually go on to Dr. Paul Lam. It's LAM. And he is just really a dynamo and a trailblazer. There's a whole history about how he came to come to the States from China, and to how he became interested in Tai Chi. So yes, I would look online, just Google Dr. Paul Lam Tai Chi program or Tai Chi for arthritis, and it should come up. And you can
Excellent.
give it a try and learn more about the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Let me also go back to Andrew. You were talking about self-efficacy for exercise. There's a question about, is it feeling more confident doing different exercises, or is it knowing which exercise to do according to your concerns, or is all of the above?
Thinking back to the measure we used, self-efficacy is about confidence doing exercises, and it's different types of exercises. I don't recall the name of the measure off the top of my head, but I know it asks about how confident you are doing things like aerobic activity, strength training, flexibility, and it goes through different activities you can do. I think knowledge is a part of that. Taking something like Fit and Strong or any other class, you do learn how to exercise, and that contributes to self-efficacy as well.
And I imagine that when you do this also as a group, people gain confidence by also knowing that you don't have to do them perfectly.
Yeah.
It's okay to start with less than perfect or not perfect at all. And then you just see others like, oh, actually, I don't have to do it a certain way, or I don't actually have to touch my toes with my hands. It's okay to go up to my knee, for example.
Yeah.
So that good experience.
Fit and Strong, and I think all the evidence-based programs make an emphasis on starting where the people are, starting low, starting slow, common mantra. We start where people are, and we build up at their pace, at a pace for them. Yeah, and it's very reinforcing to be around other people like you that, maybe have balance issues, maybe have mobility issues. You can consult with them, you can model from them and see them being able to do the exercises. And that's very reinforcing. It's a different experience than just going to like a commercial gym, and seeing people doing all kinds of different exercises with heavy weights and fancy outfits and all that. A lot of people think of that when they think of exercise. I think these programs, kind of reframe it for people a little bit and give them something they're a little more comfortable with starting with.
I love that. Yes.
Can I just add one other comment? You make that point about this notion that maybe older adults couldn't wear the ankle weights. Like, I think that goes against recognizing the capacity that individuals do have to use those weights, which was proven out in the study. Mm-hmm. And so thinking about along the age band, I have talked often about a woman in my Tai Chi class who joined at age 97, and she was sharp as a tack in taking, and she practiced Tai Chi up until she passed away. And they even included that in her memorial program, I think, as a way to help break the stereotype that you can keep going. And I think that's what inspires me a lot in my work, is people of all ages, and also want to emphasize that, yes, a lot of these programs are for older adults, but those that we run are really for people of any age, because people are managing conditions, and our programs provide support, education, resources, community building, all of the above.
Thank you. Actually, you just got to answer one of the last questions we received about the question is actually, is there an age restriction for the programs? Is there one for Fit and Strong?
No. So we, as like the project team, don't impose any kind of age minimum or maximum. Sometimes happens as a function of where the program is being offered. Certain senior centers might require people to be, 55 and older or 60 older or 65 and older if they're like, Medicare funded. But no, as far as Fit and Strong is concerned, we don't have an age minimum or maximum. And the program's fairly scalable. So if you have somebody that's younger and maybe more fit, you can increase the ankle weight. You can put quite a bit of weight into the ankle weight. You can perform the aerobic activities at a higher intensity level. So there's room to accommodate people of different levels within a class.
Yes, and I believe that is the same for our programs, that there is no age limit or recommendation. And sometimes we'll have adult children or grandchildren who want to take those programs to learn information to support their aging parent or grandparent. And intergenerational interaction can be a very powerful tool to like foster that community building. And we do welcome people of all participants of all ages.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is important that the research, or when these programs were designed and developed and then evaluated, they had a group in mind, a group that possibly was then facing the challenges. I'm so glad that you also mentioned, Andrew, the vicious cycle. You in the case of the doctor's Hughes research, it was pain in the joints, start moving less, they become more sedentary, less active, and then that increases the risk for falls. And in a matter of balance, we know that then is sometimes people fall, then they start developing that apprehension or fear about falling again, so become less active, more isolated at times, not only sedentary, but more isolation. And then that deconditions the body as well, and then increased risk of fall. So making sure that you're engaging in physical activity is so key. But even though it was with certain groups in mind, then we know that it's affecting also other individuals that may be having some similar issues, for whatever reasons, also balance concerns or falls that have experienced, which may be younger populations. We have seen that also. I apologize to my callers because I always invite you to unmute. This is at the beginning. I always invite our callers to press *6. If you have a question for one of our speakers, please do that now, *6, and ask your question. We always remind everyone this is general information, so maybe if it's very specific, we may ask you to speak with your healthcare provider, but feel free to unmute yourself and then ask a question for Janine and Andrew. Okay. Going once. Going twice. Okay.
I have a question if I don't interrupt anyone.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's experience. I am 82 going on 83. 20 years ago, I was told I have bone-on-bone knees, but I was a good walker. I am in my home, 3-story little townhouse. But now, because I procrastinated and thought, no, I'm doing good enough. Oh, my dear, I am now going to have knee replacement surgery. But in the meantime, because my knees were failing, a little more painful, there were exercises I couldn't do. Now my thighs are kind of gone to mush, and I would have been better off. So I want to encourage every listener, get active, stay active. It isn't just walking. Walking is wonderful, but the exercise, the weight training, the muscle development, and to keep the muscles that you have when you're a little bit younger. But it's never too late to make a change. And I've so appreciated all the organization tips. So even today, I'm going to take a step at a time and step up my ice melt and have that in the front closet with my walking sticks and my boots because, of course, who needed salt? So I just love the whole thing has been just remarkable, and especially the first session with the organization. It's priceless. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, you heard it here. Please take one step at a time. I think that that's the secret. We need to remain physically active, walking, and it doesn't have to be very structured. Even the 20 to 30-minute walk around your neighborhood helps with cognition as well. You're navigating, you are remembering your surroundings. And then on the process, you probably even see people that you haven't seen in a while. So there's that connection as well with cognition, which is important also. And speaking about cognition, there was something about also a question I received in my, hold on, it was directly to me about the connection between I think hearing loss and falls. And I know that I have in the past, maybe you, Andrew, or Jeannie, may be better prepared to answer the question, but it was people with some mild hearing loss, maybe having increased history or increased chances for falling, possible reasons for that.
I've heard that as well. I can't speak too much on the mechanism of exactly how that works, but I believe the literature does point to a relationship. Hearing loss, as hearing decreases, risk for falls up.
Yes, I had actually just recently looked at some statistics, but I don't have them coming to mind. And it can make such a difference for those that are experiencing hearing loss to see an audiologist and consider hearing aid, just so that we are engaged in life and not struggling to miss out on some cues or some information that is so important to our health and wellness.
Excellent. Yeah, I think you're getting to that, to the one of the possible reasons, if you are having that difficulty like navigating the overall environment, then that could increase your chances of tripping and falling. And also there could be a cognitive load when that the brain is overwhelmed with demands of when you're losing your balance or having gait problems as well. Well, thank you so much.
I had one more thing.
There's one more question. Perfect.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, I just wanted to mention also, I noticed that with elderly people, if their eyesight isn't so great, they fall a lot because they think they're going down a stair or they're touching a ledge or something, and they because their eyesight isn't too good, they fall.
Yes, again, like having difficulty navigating the overall environment, which then can increase those chances of falling or tripping, which can lead you to fall if you trip.
I was going to just mention to the first caller with the question that a number of our classes that offer an exercise component like Matter of Balance or Tai Chi have a seated option. And the studies, at least I know for Tai Chi, have shown equal benefits. So if you are recovering and want to join in Tai Chi, it's just upper body movement, that's great. But just want to reinforce that we don't want there to be a barrier because someone may need to be seated, but the evidence has shown that it can be equally helpful.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, it's still movement and then also connections. You're connecting with those in the program as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I think that with the few minutes that are left, we're gonna let Janine and Drew go. Thank you so much again for your time. And we'll
you.
go our promotions. And we have a new fall. We actually unveiled about 2 days ago false awareness, or a false video, or a video about False Awareness Week is in our YouTube channel as well. And hopefully you will be able to watch that also. But let's go through our, oh, thank you so much. We can include also those connections with the email address about fit and strong at uic.edu in the comments or in the information in our YouTube channel, so that people can get in touch with Drew and Dr. Hughes for more information about Fit and Strong. We are so excited to be offering those programs very soon. We have people that are gonna be training in the Fit and Strong program, and then we will be able to offer it. So let's see, we have what's coming up. Hannah, thank you so much for the slides. Oh, gentle chair yoga. So everyone is welcome to this class, whether you are new to yoga or have practiced yoga in the past. The poses in this class can be done while standing, sitting on the floor, or sitting in a chair. And the next class will be held via Zoom on Thursdays, started on Thursday, starting September 18th. I think it's am I having the wrong date? But anyway, just give us 28th. Sorry, in my description, I had the 18th, but starting on the 28th through November 16th from 11 to noon. There's a charge, you see $40 fee, but please, we have scholarships. So if that's a problem, just give us a call anyway, and we will make sure that we make a scholarship available to you. Thank you, Hannah. So take charge of your health, charge of your diabetes. We are going to offer this one. This one is in Spanish. Tomando control de su diabetes, a 6-week workshop for people with diabetes or pre-diabetes, where you can learn how to build skills to gain confidence, better manage your diabetes, and lead to a more active life. Over the course of 6 weeks, we discuss goal setting, nutrition, physical activity, medication and pain management, effective communication, not only with providers, but also with family members and friends that we may need support with or support from, and strategies for working with healthcare professionals. We also focus on blood glucose monitoring, avoiding complications, food care, and other topics specific to diabetes. The next workshop will be held via Zoom on Thursday, starting October 5th through November 15th, from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Then we have the beginning of the program. We actually mentioned this because Jeannie is one of the co-facilitators of these support groups. Friends and family of people with memory loss support group meets the second Monday of each month at 6 o'clock for an hour and a half. If you're helping someone with Alzheimer's disease, dementia, or memory loss, join us at our monthly meeting to share information, resources, ideas, and the ups and downs of caregiving. We are an informal, diverse group and welcome new members every month. So for more information or to register, please call us at 1-800-757-0202. The next session is coming up. It will be on Monday, October 9th. Then we have the education, another support group, the diabetes education and support group, which meets the Thursday of each month for 1 hour at 2 o'clock. Call 1-800-757-0202 to register for the Zoom information. If you are living with diabetes, you can join us for more information, for resources, and for ideas related to the ups and downs of managing this chronic condition. We are an informal, diverse group and welcome new members every month. Research shows that managing diabetes can sometimes be overwhelming, so sharing your experiencing with others in similar situations is a way to relieve stress and learn new ways to care for yourself. The next session is tomorrow and then October 19th. So give us a call. Then the Health Legacy Program for Women is a 12-session, 6-week program for women of color. And this program is designed to help women learn to eat right, lose weight, and learn how to better manage their health. Workshop sessions include exercise after every session, nutrition counseling, and health education in a supportive environment. You can call us at 1-800-757-0202 for more information. And we have talked about throughout this lecture about social isolation or, how is it that at times then it's not only that we become more sedentary, but also we probably not connect as much with others. Since social isolation and loneliness has been increasing, we are offering a program that connects socially isolated or lonely older adults with a trained volunteer to receive weekly calls. And these calls are designed to be participant-centered. It's informal discussions. That means that volunteers are calling to establish a friendship and to make a genuine connection. It's not about structured screening questions, or it's not an intervention. It's a friendly call. So please call us at 1-800-757-0202 to get connected. Shulman Senior Voices aims to empower older adults to discuss what matters most to them as they age. It is important to share what matters most to you with your physician and loved ones, and Shulman Senior Voices is the program for that. We want to hear from you, so please consider sharing your wisdom on why it is important for your healthcare team and your loved ones to know your goals and your wishes and what matters most to you. So feel free to scan the QR code so that it leads you to our website to record a video. You can actually do it in the website, or you can also record it on your mobile device or smartphone, on your tablet, and then upload it there. So thank you for joining us today. Our next lecture will be on another important issue, chronic pain management. That will be on October 4th, 2023. So we hope to see you then. Please don't forget that we are here for you. Our motto is a healthier today for a vital tomorrow. So we are here to support you in your plans to remain healthy and active as you age. If you have any questions about any of our programs, or if you are in need of consulting with a licensed clinical social worker, we offer that as well through some of the other teams that we have under the Department of Social Work and Community Health. Is the same number, 1-800-757-0202.